Chosen one, you were led here for a reason. No coincidence. This is divine timing. There's something powerful happening behind the scenes, and you can feel it. Even when it's quiet around you, your spirit senses the movement. You're not imagining it. Your name is being spoken in rooms you've never stepped into. Influential people are starting to notice you. Opportunities are being shaped around your energy, and doors are quietly unlocking in places you didn't even knock. This isn't luck. This is legacy in motion. You've walked a long road in silence. You've been doubted, dismissed, and overlooked. But that very isolation became your preparation. And now, your genius, the depth of your insight, your quiet wisdom, your vision, is being recognized by people you haven't even met yet. They see you, even if they haven't seen your face. They sense your light, even if you've never said a word to them. Let's break this revelation down into 7 powerful chapters, because the moment you truly understand what's happening around your name, you'll walk differently, from a place of alignment, not anxiety. Before we dive in, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, because this message is for the chosen ones who've been walking in silence, growing in the dark, and building what the world wasn't ready to see until now. Your genius has outgrown the shadows, and your name is moving ahead of you. If this message stirs your spirit, drop the number 77 in the comments. It's more than a number. It's divine confirmation that your brilliance is being recognized in places you've never stepped foot in, by people you've never even met. Only the truly chosen will stay until the end, and those who do will receive clarity, alignment, and the bold confidence to walk into the very rooms their name has already prepared for them. Return to this message whenever doubt creeps in, because each time you listen, a new level of your greatness will rise to the surface. Let's begin. Chapter 1. You were hidden for a reason. Chosen one, let's start with the truth that used to keep you up at night. The feeling of being invisible. You've walked through seasons where it felt like no one saw you. Not your gifts, not your heart, not your effort. You weren't just overlooked, you were hidden. And at the time, it felt unfair. You watched others get celebrated for things that came naturally to you. You watched mediocrity rise, while your excellence stayed in the background. It wasn't because you lacked value. It was because you were being protected. There's a divine reason behind your hiddenness. God doesn't expose what He hasn't finished preparing. And what He's preparing, He guards like treasure. You were like a seed buried deep in the soil. It looked like nothing was happening, but in reality, everything was. While people were chasing the spotlight, you were in the shadows, learning patience, developing character, gaining spiritual wisdom, and mastering your craft. What you were becoming couldn't be rushed. Your silence was sacred space for transformation. And yes, there were moments you questioned everything, your timing, your identity, even your calling. You saw doors open for others, while yours remained shut. You showed up, stayed faithful, did the work, and still didn't get the recognition. But here's what was really happening. While others were being seen, you were being secured. God was building something unshakable in you. Your roots were going deeper than anyone could see, anchoring you for the weight of the purpose you were born to carry. You see, the world loves fast results, but heaven values lasting impact. And lasting impact takes time. While others were performing for attention, you were going through divine refinement. You were being stripped of ego, sharpened in solitude, and rooted in purpose. Every delay, every rejection, every season of isolation was part of a bigger orchestration. You weren't being ignored. You are being hidden on purpose, because your light is too bright to be wasted in the wrong rooms. Your power is too strong to be misused by the wrong people, and your voice is too sacred to be silenced by shallow applause. The truth is, had you been seen too early, you might have settled for less than what you're worth. You might have doubted your authenticity and tried to blend in, but God kept you in the dark so your roots would grow strong. Now that you're emerging, you're not just rising, you're rising whole. And here's the part that humbles and empowers you, because you allowed yourself to be shaped in secret. The fruit of your life will be undeniable. That's why your name is echoing in rooms you've never entered. That's why you're being mentioned by people you've never met. They don't just see your talent, they sense your depth. Your authenticity commands attention, and your genius is being acknowledged in places you haven't even been invited to yet. And what's even more powerful, you don't have to force it. Your name is moving faster than your feet ever could. Your character has built a reputation before you arrive. That's what happens when heaven approves you before man does. They may not know your face, but they know your fruit. So don't regret the seasons you were hidden. They were sacred, necessary, holy. You weren't being punished. You were being preserved. You weren't behind. You were being built. And now, the world is about to see what heaven already knew. You were chosen for this all along. Chapter 2. They studied you without you knowing. Chosen one, it may come as a surprise, but people have been watching you for a long time. Not in a creepy way, but with a quiet reverence, curiosity, even admiration. Some are in positions of influence. Some hold power, platforms, and authority. They've read your words, listened to your voice, observed how you carry yourself. And they've been doing it silently, without likes, without applause, without public praise. Why? Because what you carry is not common. You think you're unseen, but the truth is, you're unforgettable. You left an imprint without even trying. Even in your quiet seasons, your excellence echoed. While others shouted to be heard, you let your fruit speak for itself. And they noticed. They noticed how you handled pressure with grace. They noticed how you kept your peace when others provoked you. They noticed how you carried wisdom without arrogance and power without manipulation. You don't need to boast. You don't chase clout. You don't water down your truth to be palatable. And in a world addicted to image and noise, your stillness speaks. Your calm confidence, rooted in spiritual depth, is what sets you apart. That kind of authenticity can't be faked. It commands respect without asking for it. Whether it was a post you wrote, a conversation you had, or just the way you carried yourself through adversity, someone took notice. They took notes. Your consistency, your integrity, and your spiritual authority stood out like a beacon. You think no one's watching, but behind the scenes, you've become a blueprint. And now, without your effort or awareness, your name is being mentioned in rooms you've never stepped into. Decision makers, leaders, and gatekeepers are whispering your name, not because you forced your way in, but because you've become impossible to ignore. This is divine strategy, not coincidence. Let's take it to the Word. In 1 Samuel 16, when the prophet Samuel was sent to anoint the next king of Israel, he looked at Jesse's oldest sons, tall, strong, impressive. But God rejected each one. Samuel was confused. These were the obvious choices. But God told him, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things people look at. The Lord looks at the heart. And where was David? Hidden in the field, unseen by men, but chosen by God. While others were lining up to be approved, David was serving in silence. While others were auditioning, David was anointed in secret. But it didn't stay secret for long. His name eventually echoed in royal courts before he even arrived. They were singing about him. Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands, long before he ever wore a crown. That's you, chosen one. You've been studied, you've been observed, but more than that, you've been favored. The rooms your name is being whispered in are not random. The tables being prepared for you are not by accident. You have carried yourself with such divine precision that even those who don't understand your calling respect your character. Some are inspired, some are intimidated, but all are taking notes. You didn't seek recognition, you sought obedience. And now, because you honored the hidden seasons, God is honoring you publicly. So don't shrink back. Don't second-guess yourself. Don't be surprised when doors open without you knocking, because those doors were never locked to you. They were waiting for the right time to open to the right one. And that one is you. Chapter 3, Genius isn't loud, it's impactful. Let's redefine genius, chosen one, because the world has tried to place it in a box, measured by grades, accolades, titles, or degrees. But your genius was never meant to be confined by a certificate or a label. Your genius is in the way your mind moves, how it sees what others overlook, how it solves problems no one else even notices, how it listens between the lines and discerns what isn't being said out loud. Genius for you is intuition wrapped in insight. It's creative power that doesn't just build, it transforms. It's your uncanny ability to bring peace into chaos, to extract clarity from confusion, to speak a single sentence that shifts someone's entire mindset. You've been quietly displaying that genius for years, maybe through the way you nurture others, maybe through your art, maybe in your business, your leadership, your spiritual wisdom, or your ability to see people deeply and speak life into places they've buried. And for the longest time, it went unnoticed, because it wasn't loud. But here's the secret. Genius isn't meant to be loud. It's meant to be impactful. The world has been conditioned to chase noise, flash, and performance. But you've always moved differently. You never needed a stage to make a difference. You never needed the spotlight to shine. You let your work, your presence, your spirit do the talking. And now, finally, those in high places are realizing this one is different. They're replaying your words in rooms you've never entered. They're studying your moves, wondering how you saw what they missed. They're realizing that your ideas, your strategy, your creative mind, and your spirit-led direction don't come from training alone. They come from divine alignment. You were never just working a job. You were walking in assignment. You were never just talking. You were prophesying without a pulpit. You were never just building. You were birthing vision into reality. And here's the truth. Impact always outlives noise. Loud people may get temporary attention, but impactful people shift legacies. And that's who you are. You're not trying to impress. You're here to imprint. Let's take it deeper. In 1 Kings 19, the prophet Elijah expected to hear from God in loud, dramatic ways, a great wind, an earthquake, a fire. But the Bible says God wasn't in any of those. Instead, he came in a still, small voice. That quiet whisper carried more power than all the noise before it. That's your genius. Quiet, precise, spirit-led. And when you move, things shift, because your presence carries purpose. Don't let the world trick you into thinking you're behind just because you're not loud. Your stillness has been more effective than most people's shouting. Your peace has been more healing than 1,000 empty words. and your depth has reached places surface-level performance never could. That's why your influence is rising now. You didn't rush it. You didn't fake it. You simply were it faithful, steady, authentic. And the weight of your genius is finally being recognized, not because you campaigned for it, but because it's impossible to ignore. So walk boldly in that. Don't dim your brilliance just because it doesn't look like theirs. You weren't called to echo the world. You were called to redefine it. Your genius is your divine fingerprint, and the world is finally beginning to see it. Chapter 4. Divine reputation precedes physical recognition. There's a spiritual principle that the world often forgets. Before elevation comes recognition, not by man first, but by heaven. Chosen one, your divine reputation has gone before you. Before people knew your name, God knew your heart. Before you were ever invited into the room, your spirit had already entered. This is the difference between worldly fame and divine favor. One can be bought, the other must be built in the unseen. You don't need to campaign. You don't need to manipulate. You don't have to force open what's already been prepared for you. The right doors are opening not because you're shouting the loudest, but because your preparation, your character, and your quiet obedience have made noise in the unseen realms. Heaven established your reputation while you were in the background. You were being refined in silence, but your spirit was sending out signals, real ones. While others were chasing clout, you were chasing purpose. While they were polishing images, you were healing wounds. While they were networking for power, you were being stripped of ego, pride, and everything that didn't align with your calling. And now that it's your time, you're not being introduced, you're being remembered. Your name has already been whispered in places you've never physically walked. Boardrooms, studios, ministries, foundations, brands, relationships. Someone has already felt your energy and spoken your name with curiosity, with admiration, or with intention, even if they don't fully understand why. That's supernatural. There is a divine pull that surrounds the chosen ones. People are drawn to you not because of something you did, but because of what you carry. It's spiritual, it's energetic, it's magnetic. Some people can't explain why they're drawn to your presence, but they are. That's because your soul carries a frequency, a resonance that's been shaped by pain, obedience, humility, and fire. It's rare, and it's real. God often places his chosen in the wilderness before putting them on the map. Look at David. He was tending sheep, seemingly forgotten, when Samuel was sent to anoint him. No one in the house even considered him, yet he was the one heaven had already recognized. By the time he stepped into public view, his divine reputation had already been established. It wasn't man's approval that crowned him, it was God's appointment. The same goes for you. You weren't overlooked, you were preserved. You weren't left behind, you were hidden, until the time was right. And now that the time has come, your name is carrying a weight far greater than any marketing campaign ever could. That's why certain opportunities are starting to show up out of nowhere. That's why certain people are drawn to your authenticity. That's why people are saying things like, "I don't know why, but I feel like you're supposed to be here." Because your divine reputation is doing the work your feet haven't even done yet. Your obedience was heard. Your integrity was seen. Your energy was felt. And now, your presence is being requested. So don't be surprised when high-level spaces begin to open up to you. Don't shrink when your name is mentioned in circles that once felt out of reach. Don't doubt your worthiness when divine alignment begins to manifest in the physical. This is not random. This is written. Chapter 5. The delay was your greatest protection. Let's be real. Chosen one. There were moments when the waiting felt unbearable. You wondered if you were being forgotten. You questioned whether all your effort, healing, growth, and integrity were in vain. You watched others rise, some faster, some louder, some with less heart than you, and it stung. You asked, God, what about me? You weren't being bitter. You were just tired of waiting. You knew the greatness in you. You felt the calling. You saw the vision. And still, delay. But here's the truth you couldn't see back then. The delay was never denial. It was divine protection. Some of the rooms your name is echoing in now weren't ready for you before. And the truth is, you weren't fully ready for them either. If you had walked into certain circles too soon, you would have been swallowed whole, used for your gifts, taken for your goodness, exploited for your light, and you wouldn't have known how to protect yourself. You would have given too much, settled too quickly, trusted too easily. The delay preserved the purity of your purpose. It gave you time to get rooted. Now you don't just move with talent, you move with discernment. Now you're not desperate for attention. You're aligned with purpose. You've built boundaries. You've cultivated wisdom. You've healed the parts of you that once needed validation. And that healing made room for authority. Now you're not just stepping into rooms hoping to be seen. You're walking in knowing who you are. You've been stripped of people-pleasing. You've let go of comparison. You've learned that peace is the real flex. And with that clarity, you're no longer impressed by noise. You're anchored in truth. And because of that, when the doors open, you won't just enter the room. You'll own it. You'll command the atmosphere with presence, not performance. You'll know when to speak and when silence is louder. You'll no longer shrink to fit in. You'll no longer apologize for your intelligence, your spirit, or your divine energy. You'll stand in full ownership of what you carry. And here's the part that's most powerful. The people who mention your name now, they do so with honor, not obligation, not pity, not as a favor. They mention you because they've recognized the real in you. They respect your journey. They see the fruit of your consistency. And many of them never even met you. But your reputation spoke for itself. God was building something deeper in your delay. Character, integrity, discernment, inner strength. All the things success without preparation would have destroyed. You were being fortified, not punished. And now, you're not just gifted, you're ready. So if you've ever felt like you were behind, remember this. You weren't being delayed. You were being developed. The stage was being set. The timing was being aligned. The right eyes were being prepared to see you for who you truly are. Now, when the light hits you, you'll be able to carry it without losing yourself. Chapter 6. They respect what you carry, even if they don't say it out loud. Let's tell the truth. Chosen one. They see you. They feel your energy when you walk in the room. They feel your presence when you speak, and even when you don't. But here's the twist. Not everyone who recognizes your brilliance is bold enough to say it out loud. Some admire you in silence, because to acknowledge your power would mean confronting their own insecurities. Others try to minimize your light, because they know deep down what you carry can't be copied, can't be manufactured, can't be bought. It's something divine. You may not get a good job or I see you doing your thing, but you'll notice the signs. People start asking for your opinion, subtly mirroring your behavior, even mimicking your words. You'll notice shifts in tone, awkward pauses when you enter a room, or how conversations pivot around your presence. It's not arrogance to notice this. It's awareness. Don't get discouraged by the lack of public praise. In fact, take it as a sign that you're operating on a level beyond the surface. You weren't called to be popular. You were called to be powerful. And power often moves in silence. In high places, names aren't mentioned based on volume. They're mentioned based on value. Influence speaks louder than visibility. What you carry is not for show. It's not for clout. It's for impact. And impact is recognized by the wise, even if they never say your name in public. Some of your biggest supporters will never like a post, never leave a comment, never tell you directly. But behind the scenes, they're watching, they're learning, they're inspired, and some are even threatened. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because you remind them of what they haven't yet become. And that's okay. You didn't come to seek approval. You came to shift atmospheres. You came to wake people up, to lead by example, to show what happens when someone stays authentic, walks in purpose, and refuses to shrink. Let them act like they don't see you. Let them pretend your genius goes unnoticed. It doesn't matter. Your name is echoing in places your feet haven't touched yet. Conversations are being had about your work, your heart, your energy, because the truth is, real recognizes real, even if it stays silent. So don't let the quiet fool you. Don't let the applause you don't hear make you think you're not making waves. Some people are in rooms right now, reshaping plans, shifting strategies, and reevaluating what they thought was possible because of you. Keep being consistent. Keep being intentional. Keep being you. The respect is there, even if it's unspoken. Chapter 7. Prepare. You're about to be called forth. This is not the season to shrink. This is not the moment to doubt yourself. This is the moment to prepare. Because when your name has been echoing in rooms of influence, when your presence has been felt beyond your physical reach, there always comes a time when the room sends for you. Chosen one, the whispers are turning into invitations. The same doors that once ignored you are being opened from the inside. The same people who overlooked you are now circling back. Not because you begged for attention, but because your growth, your discipline, and your divine uniqueness demand it. So prepare. Prepare mentally, because you can't afford to take old insecurities into new blessings. Prepare emotionally, because elevation will test your character more than your talent. Prepare spiritually, because you'll need to stay rooted in truth when the platform rises. Prepare practically. Your work, your craft, your mission must be in order. Don't get ready when the call comes. Be ready now. There is a moment approaching where everything will align, and when it does, you won't have to hustle for a seat at the table. They'll ask where you've been. They'll say, "We've been looking for someone just like you," and you'll know it was divine timing all along. You won't need to audition. You won't have to explain who you are. Your work, your walk, and your energy will do the talking. You've already proven yourself in private. Now heaven is placing you in position for a public breakthrough. They're about to call your name in meetings you didn't attend. They're about to credit you for inspiration you didn't know you gave. They're about to realize that what you carry can't be ignored any longer. And the beauty of it is, you're no longer hungry for validation. You're no longer desperate for the spotlight. You've outgrown the need to be seen. Now you simply desire to serve your purpose. And that's what makes you dangerous in the best way. So when the call comes, answer with confidence. When the invitation arrives, walk through with peace. And when the platform rises, stand in truth, knowing that you didn't cheat, copy, or manipulate your way here. You became it. And now the world is finally catching up. Prepare, chosen one. You're not being elevated for popularity. You're being positioned for purpose. This is your moment, and you were born ready.